Hey everybody, this is Carpo. This is part 3 of, finances, income, money. It's all about money. But I'm going to make this one pretty quick. I just wanted to finish up. I almost fit everything I wanted to say into the last video. My wonderful son came in and had to help him out with some CD stuff. So, CDs. Speaking of CDs, how about CDs that you invest in? These are another angle to it. You know, all these different investments. And if you go back to war bonds, you know, from the 40s, during World War II, I mean, that was big time. You know, investing in the war was considered the most American thing you could do, and everyone did it, without question. You know, there were plenty of people who were against war, but I mean that it was the norm. It's what people have done, and throughout history, people have supported their governments in times of war. This is because the people trust that their government is making the right decision to go to war, to protect the people. So it's nothing new that the people have been lied to for the reasons we go to war. Preemptive attacks have happened for thousands of years, where a government tells the people that if we don't attack them first, they're going to attack us. And likely, it'll never happen. But the biggest issue is how much money goes into a war. It is the single largest expenditure for a country, especially these days, for our country anyway. Military and healthcare, that kind of stuff, you know, is expensive. Well, healthcare is essential, military is not. A standing army is not considered a normal thing. Throughout history, the citizens would join the army when it was necessary. If you can't get people to convince that it's a good thing to fight for, well, then you have to draft them. And in Rome, that's exactly what happened. Kids were drafted. All of them. Every boy had to fight. That's just how it was. So, the reason why I'm talking about all this random stuff and money and culture is because I find it to be one of the biggest obstacles. I think I'm getting a cold, sorry. One of the biggest obstacles we have to overcome is thinking that we as people are not obligated to pay into our society in order to be comfortable, in order to assure our safety, in order to ensure that we will not be attacked, and that if something happens to us, we have a safety net to catch us. We have that in this country. You know, if you fall down on the street, you'll probably wake up in the hospital. That wasn't always the case. You know, throughout history, there have been plenty of times where you got a toothache and you died. You know, this is the world we live in has changed, and many things that we have are due to the system that we've put in place. So when I talk about taxation, I'm talking about the positive benefits, the sides and the parts where it works. Smaller state governments where, you know, where the money's actually used properly. The problem is, as citizens, we cannot know. All we can do is observe, what are these politicians doing? Are they going on vacations? How much money do they have? What kind of car do they drive? And we're finding over and over that these people have way more than they need. And it's like I said, the average CEO of a company makes 380 times more than the average employee that they employ. The average employee. It's ludicrous. And this is just CEOs of companies, but you have to remember, these are the companies that are building things for our military. We're being taxed. The taxation is going to the military to pay for goods that are way overpriced, stuff like Halliburton, and this is the problem. Greed is the problem. Selfishness is the problem. And I think what's more than the problem of selfishness is this idea that, well, I can get mine and it's not going to hurt anybody too much. I've got to get mine. I deserve what I've got. I've worked hard for this. We all know that if you have more than you need, you have too much. Now, along those lines, there's a certain comfort zone. I don't believe in this whole. I believe in kind of a Hobbes approach to. Hobbes had this idea that people deserve to be happy, that they deserve to be comfortable, and deserve to have stuff. And I believe that people deserve to attain these things. So in other words, I'm not one of those guys that believes that people should abandon all material goods. There was a time when I considered it, and I realized There's no way that is a right approach to life. Because that's a way of saying that what's more important than this life is an outside world. And this is the same with religion. Many people live their life under the guise of of a happy person, but really they're making themselves miserable because they're afraid if they do fun things, they're going to be sinning or they might go to hell. So they're dedicating their whole life to an afterlife as well. And there's a double-sided approach to how this world is the important world. But you can't argue that because we just don't know. So my reason for bringing that in is to say that often our economy will implode in society. And rather than try to fix it, people say things like, oh well, it's going to destroy itself. It's prophesized in the end times. That kind of stuff. I had a discussion with a guy the other day. I said something to the effect of, I don't know how we're going to pull ourselves out of this problem that we have. This problem with money and everything. And he said, well, I know it might sound corny, but just pray to Jesus because we're going to, what did he say? Yeah, Jesus is going to come down and do whatever he's going to do, and it doesn't matter really in the long run, that's what he's saying. And I said, well, I believe that each person needs to put forth some effort. We can't just wait around for Jesus to save us. This is something, even if Christianity is 100% true, Jesus would not want you to sit around waiting for him to return. He'd want you to get off your ass and try to fix the system that we have. So this passivity that comes with saying, well, it's God's will, this has caused many problems in society and many problems in economy. There's a big argument between what's man's will and what's God's will. It's irrelevant because here we are amidst this problem, amidst all this taxation, amidst this crazy monetary system, this financial system that we've created that we think is something different, that somehow today's money is different than the old money. And it is because it's not backed by gold. But beyond that, it's the same old thing. We just use more of it. If you haven't done any research into inflation, which is the hidden tax, and if you don't understand how economy works and how the system operates, it's really interesting, and you should do some look into fiat money, so you can understand how, from 1965 when they went off the gold standard, that's when the coins started to become less valuable. They started making them alloys and gradually took the silver out. Went from 90% to 40% and then down to nothing. Well, in 1982, they stopped making pennies out of copper. Today, copper pennies are worth 2 cents. And it's because we have let things inflate beyond their value. And so if you have, all the modern ones are made out of zinc, pennies. So pretty soon zinc will be worth more, and they'll start making them out of some kind of plastic alloy. Who knows? I have no idea what they're going to do next. But the point is that we've overstayed our welcome with fiat money, or printing more than we have backing, and it's starting to show. So for those out there who still support America as this great superpower, I beg to differ. China owns our national debt. China owns America. China owns Idaho and what other state? North Dakota or something? I can't remember. It's Idaho and something, where they basically bought a majority of the value of the state. We're moving slowly towards a one-world government, and I think that the people have a misconception about what that is. It's not going to be the U.S. as a government, or these politicians as a government, or these political leaders. It's going to be an agreement among all nations to function a certain way, and it's already happened. International law is already following the leads of certain nations, and we're starting to meld into this one world government, whether we like it or not. That's the thing. There's plenty of people to fight it, but there's nothing you can really do about it. And in today's economy, the way it's set up, we're at the mercy of the money. And it's sad, because each one of us is really kind of stuck being able to we have to play the system in order to live. But by playing the system, we're buying into it. I've heard it from both angles. How do you do it? What do you do? You know, do I ignore it? You can't ignore it. You're part of it. So the best you can do is educate yourself on it. So that's all I got. I hope I didn't bore you too much, but you know, economics is a very interesting thing. After it all, you know, people don't get up and go to work for nothing. They get up and go for money. Not the money itself, but the goods that money can buy. And that's what life is for now, at least here on Earth. Namaste, everybody.